Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to be creating a basic floor plan in AutoCAD 2027. Let's dive right into it. All right, so I'm going to show you how you can do this basic floor plan. So what you want to do is open your AutoCAD 2027, and then what you want to do is you want to come over here to your new. Just click new, and we're going to open up a brand new project. The first thing you need to do is take your cursor, go down here to the command bar, and type in DYNMODE, and you're going to see this command pop up called DYNMODE, whatever you want to say. Just press enter, and it's going to ask you to enter a new value for it. You can see mine set to 3. If yours is set to 3, you're fine. If it's not, then I suggest you type in 3, press enter, and then you're going to be good to go. Once that's done, just press escape and you'll be good to go. So what this does is it allows us to type in commands instead of having to go click or actually even take our mouse and go down to the command bar. So we can actually just type our commands. So that's the first thing. Next thing we want to do is type in units. When you type in units, it's going to bring up the units. So you can pause the video here if you want once I get this all set up, and you can set it to what I have. Or if you're using metric, then I would just follow along with what I'm doing. We're going to go to architectural units. We're going to go to a precision of 1/16 of an inch, and then we're going to see the insertion scale. So this is the units that you're going to have that scaled into, and it's going to be inserted as 2 inches. If you're using metric, then use metric, but for what we're doing, we're just going to use inches. With our angles, we don't really need to worry about that unless you really want to. Don't have to touch the lighting. Click OK, and we are good to go. So at this stage, our units are set. We've got our DYNMODE set up. Next thing we need to do is go and make sure our snaps are all set correctly. So take your mouse, go down here, and make sure you have your display grid on. Make sure that your snap mode, I tend to keep it off just for most drawing because you can just kind of you don't really need it. And then you can come over here to, you can restrict your cursor. So I have mine 90, 180, 270, whatever. Just keep that clicked on. You can come here to your show snapping reference line. We want that on, and then go to your OSNAP settings, and then you can click the little drop down and then go and select what I have selected here. I'm actually going to go select a few more. So what you want to do here is just select the ones that I have selected currently. If I'm going to change them, I will let you know later on in the video, but just pause the video, make sure your settings are set here, and that's going to help you immensely because if you're having issues snapping things, this is going to be why. And then come over here and you can see that we have show annotation objects. We're always going to have that on. And then make sure your drawing scale is either 1:1 or 1:2. I'm just going to do it in 1:1. So what I want to do next is just click on our layer properties. And what this is going to do up here is this is going to bring us to our layers. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go through and create layers as we go throughout this project, but we want to have a few set up already. So you can see we already have layer 0. Never touch it, never delete it, just leave it there. What we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to create exterior walls. We're going to keep it white, and we're going to keep the line types. We're going to keep the line weights and everything the same because this is a basic tutorial through this. Then we're going to go to interior walls, and then we're going to create windows. We're going to create doors. And then that's what we're going to kind of stay as for now, and then we'll just add them as we need them. So you can see here, all you do is take your cursor, you click up here to new layer, and you just create them and you type them in. So just click example layer, and then you just type it in, and then you're good to go. Okay, so then what we want to do is we want to go through and we want to edit our layers. So I obviously don't want the walls, exterior windows, everything looking the same. So just go to your doors, and then what I want you to do is select a color that you enjoy. So I'm going to use lighter colors because I've had comments before saying, you know, it's hard to kind of see what you're doing. I don't want it too bright because it makes it hard to see. So I'm just going to click yellow for the doors. Again, I'm not using any type of coding or color chart for this. I'm just going through and selecting some colors, and we're going to go do maybe a pinky type color. For our exterior walls, our interior walls, let's do more of a red. And then for our windows, let's do more of a green. And that should be good to go. Again, line types and everything, we're going to keep the same just for this. So that's our base layers set up, okay? So the next thing you want to do is take your cursor, come up here, and you're going to see we're going to have these layers selected. We just need to click exterior walls. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to create polyline. So I'm just going to type in poly, right? Polyline, press enter, and then we can start drawing. Or you can take your cursor, come up here, click polyline, and you can start drawing. I'm going to select my polyline, and you can see that the first number is highlighted in blue. If I type 0, it's going to be set to that. Now to lock that in, I press tab on my keyboard, and I'm set to the next number in the sequence. I type in 0 again, and then I can press tab either to lock them both in and just change the numbers if I want, or I can press enter, and that's going to start the line exactly where I want it. And then we are good to go. Select polyline 0, 0, enter, and then I can go and you can see I can drag it to about 10. The distance is highlighted. We're going to type in 10. We're going to press 10 feet. That's the key beside the enter key. You're just going to press that for the foot. If you need to do inches, then what you do is you hold shift and you press that key as well to give you the 2. So feet is 1 and then inches is 2. And those of you who are metric, well, you just type in 100 or whatever, whatever your equivalency would be. So we're going to do 10 feet. And then once we're done that, we can lock that in. We press tab again, and then you can see we can actually adjust the angle. So this angle is going to be relative to where you are. I don't know where mine is right now, but you can see here I can lock in it. It's locked in at 10 feet, and I can change the angle by going up and down. So you can see here, if I go up 45 degrees, that's what my line is going to look like. If I go up 90 degrees, it's going to look like that. I want to stay here at 0. So it's already at 0. So I'm just going to press enter, and that is going to be my first wall. So what I have to do now is I have to go up, and I'm going to do maybe 5 feet up. So then I'm just going to type in 5 feet, make sure we're at 90 degrees, which is what we are. And then I'm going to press enter again. And then I'm just going to go through and continue on and do this. So I'm going to do another 5 feet to the right, and then another 0 degrees, press enter, go up. So I'm just going to start a new polyline. I'm going to go up by 5 feet, press enter, and then I'm going to go over by 15, because that's where it should be and line up. So there's a few ways you can do this. So you can see here, I can just type in 15 and keep it. You can see in this direction, it's 180 degrees. So I can just keep doing what we were doing. Or what I can do is I can take my cursor, I can kind of hover it over the bottom corner here, and then I can just pull it up, and you can see there's a green dotted line. Once I reach the intersection between that bottom and the one that I'm currently drawing, you're going to see it's going to give me these green indicator lines. They're going to say, hey, this is the lined up. This is exactly where it should be. And then I can just click, and then I can go and drop that down and bring it down again another 10 feet just to close it out, and it's going to be good. So you can see here, though my two polylines are not connected, what I can do is I can just select them, and I'm pretty sure I can just type in join, and then what's going to happen is they're all going to create one big polyline. Well, when you have your cursor and you click from the right and you drag to the left, you can see that I have a green dotted box that is opening up. What this does is anything that box touches is going to be selected. You can see it's selecting the entire thing. And what that does is it allows us to quickly select a variety of objects if we need to. If I take my cursor, if I take it from the left and drag to the right, you're going to see it's not green anymore. It's not dotted. It's solid and it's blue. And what this does is everything has to be inside of that box in order for it to be selected. So instead of just touching the corner like I could before, I have to go and actually envelop the whole thing. So that's the difference between those two selections, if you're wondering what I'm doing. So you can see here, I can literally just tap the corner here with the green one, and then I have to select the whole thing if I do the blue one. So I'm just going to go select that, and then I'm going to type an offset. You're going to see the offset command is going to show up. We're going to press enter, and it's going to ask us to specify the offset distance or through erase layer. We're just going to type in the distance that we want. So we're going to just go here, and we're going to, hold on a sec, I'm going to redo that so you get an idea of what's going on. So offset, so hold on, select my object, offset, and then it's going to ask us to specify a distance. Let's do 6 inches. So literally just type in 6, and then once again, inches. So that would be shift and then the key beside enter. Press enter, and then we have our 6 inches. So how do we know which side to go on? Well, it depends what you want to do and what kind of work you're doing. In a lot of cases, like sometimes floor plan, it depends who you're working for. I'm just going to do the exterior so that we have an even floor plan space on the inside. So you can see here we have our 6 inches. So how do I change the inside or outside? I just take my cursor and put it on either side of my line here. I'm going to do the exterior, and there we go. And we have our exterior walls built out and ready to go. So there's 6 inches. Okay, so the next thing we're going to want to do is add an interior wall, and I'm just going to use this to show you an example of how to do this. So it works relatively similar to the exterior walls, except I have a different layer for it just to make it easy for you guys to follow along, so I'd recommend you do that as well. And then you can do this a few ways. So depending on how it works, we can just draw it out like we did before, use the offset command and make it work. If it's just a small corner where we want to have the wall, we can just kind of go through, see how thick we want it. So like interior wall, let's do 4 inches, and then exterior wall, let's do 6 feet. 6 feet long for the interior wall, and then we can kind of have something like that. So that's another way we can do it, is you just use the rectangle tool to do it, or you can just come here and do the polyline like we did before, and you just go through, you draw it out, and yeah, you just make sure it looks nice. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to erase that, and then I'm going to bring this down. So what I'm going to do is just grab this, and I want to line it up with this wall here. So there's a few ways I can do this. So I can either take a line and I can just drop it across, and then I can grab this, and you can see this little selection here, this little box here. We want to touch that, grab it. So to grab it, you just click it. You don't want to hold, you just want to grab it and not hold it. You just click it and then bring it down, and then grab your cursor and make sure that you're lining up with, you're going to see there's that green box around the end of that line, and we can actually just line it up with that, and you can see that it's going to go over, it's going to create that intersection like it did before when we did the exterior walls, and it's going to, you know, just flush it up with that. So that's one way we can do it. Another way we can do it is you can actually just take this, zoom out a little bit more, and we can just, I'll just pull it out again. We just select it, grab the same tool from before, and then we can actually just highlight this, and then you can see that green dotted line is coming, and we can go and we can drop it like that. Or another way we can do it is we can just go and drop it by what we need. If we do the math between the distances, we can just drop it by that. And to do that, you just grab and then pull down, and you're going to see it says polar, and that distance that you see beside that is the difference between where it is now and what it's going to be. So just keep that in mind, and then we'll have our interior wall. I'm actually going to go and use the trim tool. So just type in trim and then just go here and then trim that out so that it looks like our walls are actually flush and in with each other. And we're actually going to trim both so that it looks nice. And then there we go. So now we have our interior wall and we have our exterior wall done. So again, what's really important is going through now and creating our windows and our doors. So what we want to do is we want to go and switch to, let's say, our doors, right? And then what you want to do is you want to create doors that are the proper size for the project that you're doing. Residential slabs typically come in widths ranging from about 24 to 36 inches and a standard height of 80 inches. So what you want to do is take your rectangle tool, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start in a corner, doesn't matter where, and we're just going to go and create this. So just type in 36 inches. You don't have to do feet. I know it's like 3 feet, but you can just type in the inches if you want to do the inches instead. And then you press tab to lock it in. And then you want to make a width or a distance for how thick it would be. So you have a few options for how this works. You can make the most detailed door on your floor plan as you want, or you can just do something really basic. I'm just going to make it for the sake of this tutorial to fit within my wall. So I'm just going to do 6 inches. And then what you can do here is you can kind of spruce it up a bit. So if you want to, you know, you can just, there's different things you can do, but what you really want to do though is you want to select where your door swing is going to go. So I'm going to do, let's say, I don't know, 3 feet because it's going to swing out, not 3 inches. I want to do 3 feet. So I'm just going to erase that, grab my line again. I'm going to drop it down 3 feet. And then what I want to do is I want to go to my arc tool here. And then what I do is I click that and it's a 3-point arc. So you can see with this arc, we're creating an arc using 3 points. And then what we do is we specify the start point, we specify the second point, and then we can just kind of go through and we can make our arc work. So you can see I'm just going to pull it out a little bit beyond my point here, just so that it gets me where I want it to go. I'm going to click, and then you can see we have that little tail on the end. I'm just going to go through and trim it out just to make it easier on us. And then we have our door swing. So again, this isn't perfect, but it's going to work for what we're doing. You can also go through if you really want to, and you can actually just like take a line, and then you can add a few inches or whatever to the one side. So let's say 2 inches if that's what you want to do. And then we're going to grab another line, go 2 inches to the left or to the right, and then we're going to go up like 1 inch. And then we're going to drop that across, line it up with that, and then we're good to go just to make it look a little better. And then I can even go through and trim out this just because I know how big it's going to be. So then I can go and I can take this and then I just type in join. And then it should be one big thing where it should be. And then once it's joined together, it might not all join together like you can see mine did. We're going to select it and type in block. So you're going to see the block tool come up, press enter, and then we can name our block. We're going to call it standard door, 36 inches. And then we can go through and we can add a description. So this is a standard door example for YouTube. And then you can go and you can select a few of these other options. I recommend you don't do that. But you can see here the base point, it's going to ask specify on screen or pick a point. I'm going to click pick a point. And then what you can do is just select where, whenever you go to select this block, it's going to come from. I'm going to do the center, the top center that's closest to the one edge there. Well, actually, no, I want to actually do this one here. So the second one, the reason I'm doing the second one is because that's going to be within my wall. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click OK, and it's going to say the name cannot support these characters. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do standard door 36. That'll get rid of the character problem. And then we're good to go, and that is a block. So once I have that as a block, I can actually go up here into my insert. I click that, so you can see here in the home tab, insert, we have our standard door 36, and then I can just click that, and it's going to allow me to just duplicate that and go through and create that as a block. I can save it and use it in other drawings as well. So once I have my door, I take this, I can move it, so just type in the move command, and then just grab it where you kind of want it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put it right here. So it doesn't look beautiful, it doesn't look pretty, but we're going to make it work. So just select your door again and then type in rotate. So once you have the rotate going, it's going to ask you for a base point. Our base point is going to be right down here where we selected the point before. And the reason for that is because we want it to be on that center point there. And then we're just going to go and we can just turn it up. And you can see here, we can rotate it by a specific angle, but I just like using the mouse. So I'm just going to use the mouse, put it there. And then I'm going to go through, I'm going to trim up this. And then I'm going to trim that. And I'm going to trim that as well. And then it's going to look a little better there. So then we have our door. I'm going to trim, get rid of that. And you can see here, it doesn't want to trim this. But that's okay, we don't need to deal with that. But that's our main door, and that's how it's going to look. So that's how you would add your door. So we have a door. You can see our swing is a little funky here because, you know, it should be maybe swinging on the outside of the wall. It's not going to be like necessarily you're opening it here. So maybe we do just want to have something here just to show that. But yeah, we've got our door there. I'm going to grab my rectangle here and I'm going to do 40 and then I'm going to do 6 inches. I'm going to press enter and you can see I made a critical error. I'm still on my doors. So what I want to do here is click on my layers and go to my windows and then I'm going to select that again and you're going to see it's going to change back to doors. We're going to change it to windows and now our window is ready to go. So we're just going to go across by 40, make it 40 inches and then we're going to go and we're going to make that 1 inch. And there we go. And then what we do is we take this, we move it again, we grab the center point, and then we find the center point of this one right here. We can see the center point's right there. So we just grab this again, we move it, we can take the center there, put it right there, and then it's going to be put like that. And we have something that kind of more resembles a window. And then we can add an awning if we want to. So then I'm just going to go through, I'm going to grab my polyline, I'm going to go out by maybe, I don't know, 1 inch. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. And then I'm going to go up a little bit. Let's say, I don't know, maybe another inch. And then we're going to go across just for the sake of argument. We're going to put it down and then we're going to have our window. So now we have our window there. So what we can do at this stage is we can go and we can block it up. So what we do is we just select everything. We type in block and do just like what we did before. And then we type in window example for YouTube, 40 inch. Or YouTube example 40 inch, pick point. I'm going to do the center again on the bottom there. And then we just type in our description, window 40 inch for YouTube example. Once that's done, you click OK, and then you're going to have your block, and we can move this and use it as we would, and it's going to show up here in your blocks as well. So when you go through and you create your blocks, that's kind of how it's going to work. Then we just go here, we take our window, and we just kind of place it where we want it, and then you would do a similar thing where you go through and you just kind of trim it up. So you can see here the problem is we're having an issue with trimming our objects here. So I'm just going to leave it for now. But in most cases, you would want to go through and you would want to trim out so it just kind of looks a little tidier. What we can do here is, again, we can either copy this or we can go here and we can create more window examples. So I'm just going to go click and take it, and I'm going to put it in the center of where I want it. So you can see how much quicker it is to just kind of do this. And then what I can do is I can go and move them into place. So I take this, again, I rotate off of this point, and then I just put it there. Same kind of thing here. It's not in the right orientation maybe. So what I want to do is maybe I just want to rotate it out a little bit, but I want to rotate it at the correct point. So just type in rotate, and then we'll do maybe the center, and then we're just going to flip it. Another thing you can do is you can actually just mirror this, but we're not going to do that. Just take the center, and then it's going to look good. And then we take this, rotate, and then for this one, again, we just rotate it. And you can see I was having issues kind of snapping it here. So all I do is rotate it, and then I grab up here, and then it'll snap down there perfectly. And there we have our windows. So that's an excessive amount of windows. Okay, so we have our windows, we have our doors, we have our interior walls, we have our exterior walls. The next thing we want to do is go through and make sure we have our hatching correctly. So before we get into hatching, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. There are issues with hatching where it can crash your computer. So just please keep that in mind. Okay, so we're going to go and we're going to hatch our exterior walls. So how do we do this? Well, just type in hatch, press enter, and it's going to ask you to pick an internal point, or you can just kind of draw it out. We're not going to do anything like that yet. we're actually going to go up here to our pattern, and we're going to go and select a pattern that would look best with what we're doing. So again, like maybe I have concrete. I can put the concrete in. You know, I can use wood on the floor. You know, I can go through. I have sand. There's all these different types of hatching that we have in here to kind of make things work. And hatching is, you know, we have gravel, honey, all these other things, and you can just kind of select what would work best for the example you're using. I'm just going to use zigzag for our walls here. So then I just go, and what I do is I click, and then I put it and hatch it where I want it. So I just go through and I do the exterior wall. And you can see here, once that's done, I can press escape and it's going to work. So here's the problem though. I have my interior wall attached to my exterior wall. And you can see here, all of my hatching is, well, it's connected to each other. So how do I deal with this? You can go through and mess with your hatching, or what you can do is I'm just going to press Control Z. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go down here. I'm going to grab a line, and I'm actually going to close this off again. And I'm going to take that and that, I'm going to join them. And that should close it up. So then what we want to do is we want to do that again. So one thing you can do as well is if you want to avoid having this issue of, you know, you hatch it, you hatch it, and then, you know, it's not going to work for how you want it. What you do is you go down here, and again, we're just going to go and find where we had our zigzag. It's all the way down here. We just click, 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 and then I'm going to press escape. Now I didn't do this bottom corner because I want to show you something. If I type in hatch again, and I go and I hatch that corner, you're going to see here, if I go and click this hatch here, it's going to select this one, this one, this one, and this one. If I click this one, it's going to select all of them again, but it's not, none of them are selecting that bottom left hand, and that's because I did it in a separate instance of hatching. And you can see here, it's only going to select that. So let's say I want to have it so that they're disconnected. I would then have to go and I would have to individually hatch them like I did with this one, but I can always go and select them all at the same time as well. But if I just want it to be quick and fast, I can just do them all at the same time and it'll be one hatch. So that's going to be our exterior walls there. One thing with the hatching is I'm just going to select both of these right now. You don't have to hold shift, you don't have to hold control when you're selecting multiple hatches. You can come here to this number here, and what this does is it allows you to adjust the scale of your hatch. So if I put in 0.25, it's going to get a lot tighter. If I do 5, it's going to get a lot more loose. So then what you want to do is maybe do 0.5. And you can see here we have our hatching. I think that looks okay for what we're doing. And that's what you do. You'd go through and you'd hatch things that need to be hatched. You know, I would go through and hatch on my elevations as well, but we're not going to be touching on that in this video. This is just the basic floor plan. So then what we have here is we have our basic windows, doors, interior and exterior walls for AutoCAD 2027. If you want to go through and you want to, you know, do a little bit of furniture, I'll give you an example on how to do that right now. Again, go to your layers, just type in, create a new layer, click that button there, and then we're going to type in, I don't know what we want to do, furniture. And then we're going to want to select the color. So I'm going to double click it to make sure I'm on that layer. And then we're going to go through and we're going to go and select a color. Let's do more of a green as well. And then we're going to be good to go for our furniture. And then we can go through and do what we did with the windows and the doors. So, you know, you just kind of go through and you select it. I'm not going to do this to scale. But what you want to do is you can, let's say I want to have, I don't know, maybe a couch up here. I can just go through and I can draw it out. Let's do 6 feet. And then what we can do is we can just drag it down. Let me redo that for a sec. 6 feet. And then let's make it, I don't know, 3.5 feet. And then we have our couch, maybe we have our bed or whatever we have there. And then what you want to do, and again, it's it's not to scale, but what you want to do is you want to go through and then you just, you know, grab your polyline and then you just go through and you draw out how you think it should look. And then you want to make sure as well that you're doing this properly so that when you're going through and you're doing it. So let's say I just did a little thing there. What that does is that's 3 inches out. So then I know when I go to this side here, I go 3 inches. And then I pull it down. I can then go through and I can trim this out as well. So I can go trim, 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 and then I can take a line and I can drop it in the middle as well, and it would look more like a couch. Man, I can even go through, I can do a little circle in the center if I really wanted to as well, and then it would look even better, but I'm not going to do that. So that would be, let's say, your couch. And then what you do as well is if you want to keep this, let's say you like your couch, you're like, I want to use this in other drawings. Again, you just go select it, and then we just block it. So I'm going to go and select it again. I just accidentally deleted it. Block. Then we're going to type in couch. Specify your base point wherever you want it. I'm going to do the bottom again, and this will be couch example for YouTube. Press OK, and then we're good to go. So everything is drawn to scale, everything looks good, everything is proper. The next thing you have to do is, well, put it on a sheet of paper. And I've got some videos on how to do that. I'm going to show you how to do that in the next lesson. This is part one. Part two is coming out soon, guys. Hopefully this is helpful. Take care, and we will see you in the next one.